Boruto 289 just came out. I gotta say, the confrontation between Kid Code and Kid Kawaki in a dream place, signing while Code was fully prepared. He was fully prepared to kill Kawaki with the karma because he just hated, despised the fact that Kawaki was the true vessel, and he just for some reason is jealous about it that he died instead of Kawaki, and it's just kind of crazy to me that like you have that much of respect for Shiki that you're willing to sacrifice yourself than someone like Kawaki who has no tie nor connection to your life whatsoever. And it does make me wonder like if the anime does it, I do hope it does this, that we actually get more of a background on why Code respects Ishiki to this much of a degree. Because not even the other members of Car respect Chicken or Ishiki up to that level. And it's just very surprising that someone like Code would. So I'm very curious to see what the conflict is. And then when we see Kawaki actually being so upset that he himself, he doesn't have the power to compete with Kawaki. I mean, he doesn't have the power to compete with Code. Like, he just doesn't. Like, he's not really necessarily overpowered, even with the amount of modification that he has. Like Code would absolutely destroy this man, and that's what made a manga bring up that like you regardless of Ashiki dying or not, you are still the vessel of Ashiki Osuki, and this set off red alarm for Kawaki. Like he straight up just imprison Armando against the wall, like forcing him up against the wall and saying like, how much I despise the karma, and Armando made it a point that like, yeah, I know how you respect the Hokage so much and respect Konoha to a significant degree that you're willing to do anything. This could be one of them. We could actually just give you the karma back if you so desire. And in this case, you won't have to worry about someone else taking over your body, and because it should be dead. And I think that's honestly a good point because in the last episode, Kawaki was trying to force Boruto to use his karma, yet Kawaki is actually terrified. It actually disregarding the choice of getting the karma on his own. He really does not want to resort to that, but it's the only real choice they have. Like again, like actual training, that it ain't gonna do shit because I mean the training they were doing earlier with Sarda, Mitsuki, and others, like that's not gonna work for them because like the karma they have God given abilities, and normal training ain't gonna help deal with that. Like that training, it might be suited for Sarda and Mitsuki, but it's definitely not suited for Boruto and Kawaki because they already have such a massive leap in power that it's kind of pointless to train the basic regular way. It's similar to when Jiraiya was saying how you already have a shit ton of chakra due to you having due to you being a Uzumaki and due to you having nine tails. It said there's no point in having you teaching you the basics where you can just spend as much chakra as humanly possible and still have a lot to come from it anyway. So there's no point of conserving it. So with Naruto, he got a jump start as so with Boruto and Kawaki. They don't have to. There's no point in teaching them the basics of shinobi training because it's quite frankly useless. And it was just so interesting seeing how Kawaki it's just so glum that he doesn't have the power that it takes to be cold. I mean, be cold. And while we see that Ida is actually afflicted by this. She's actually watching the scene go on and asked Code to spare the Hokage. Code's like, nah, I'm not budging, not one bit. I made a sacrifice, I made an exception for Kawaki, but I'm killing all the others. And it's just so hilariously funny, like about Bug. Like it's so hilariously funny. Like this man is the most resilient man I have seen in this franchise. The fact that he is able to still have negative thoughts about Ida and Daemon, despite the fact that he's just a normal human. He is a normal human, and he still is able to think negatively of them. It's just so crazy that he's not fully in love with someone like Ida, or is fully intimidated by someone like Code or now Daemon, because with Daemon, he is extraordinarily childish and strong. And the reason they had to bring out Daemon because I doesn't know how to fight. She doesn't know how to fight. She even said herself she doesn't like pain, and it's one of those things where Code brings up the point where, well, what if Kawaki wants to attack you? What if Boruto Kawaki they want to kill you instead? And and that made her brought out that, okay, let me bring out the bad boys. Let me bring out my little brother. And kind of surprising that you waited this long to bring out your little brother, but then she finally brings out Daemon. It was just so awesome seeing how Daemon was just he was so awesome. I like the reveal of Daemon. I like the music that they chose for this episode because Daemon he was just really awesome. Okay, it was just so hilariously funny. Cause I really loved the humor with characters like Daemon or Ida. Because with Daemon in particular, he just so childish. Like the moment he wakes up, he just immediately grabs on Cole's body. And luckily for Ida, she stopped Cole from attacking Daemon. Otherwise Cole would have been dead, like straight up. Like had he actually tried to kill Code, had Code actually tried to kill Daemon without any mercy whatsoever, like he would have just died straight on the spot. Like Code would have just died straight on the spot. But luckily, an opportunity presented itself where a group of mercenaries come in and they all try to attack the cyborg, but obviously that just was futile, and Damon was just laughing while all of those other people were just dropping like flies. Like Damon, he was just so incredible to me because I think I actually like him more than Ida based on this episode alone, and because Damon's portrayal is just so awesome. I love it. I love it how they have the betrayal of Daemon. It was just so incredible seeing how this character is fucking awesome. He's a badass. I mean, and while we see that, Code is trying to get some cheat codes. Like we see, he tells them all about his abilities because he wants to know more about Daemon's ability and see there's a weakness. Because with Code, he had plenty of weaknesses. Daemon, we haven't seen a weakness thus far. We haven't seen a weakness thus far, so it's kind of hard to gauge on how to fight him properly because you cannot fight him with normal tactics, and so that kind of leaves Code in a precarious, in a tricky situation. And it was just so crazy to me how a Bug was trying to run away from Daemon, and it was just so hilarious seeing the interaction with Bug and Daemon, and Bug with everyone. Again, the interaction with Bug and everyone is just hilarious at this point. Like I really do love Bug as a character. I love all four of them. To be honest with you, that it's honestly funny how even someone like Cole, like as much respect that he had for Ashiki, as much revenge driven as he is, he still can be a funny character, and I really do love that about him. That he actually does have some elements to him besides his vendetta for revenge. And when we see back to the Konoha scene where Kawaki, I mean, is actually just sitting down on Konoha, just struggling to process what's going on with Code eventually invading Konoha and him not being able to do about it. Speaking of which, I did find it interesting that we see Himawari train. I thought that was fascinating considering what happened in the manga. I'm not going to spoil, but considering what happened in the manga, I think it was interesting seeing Himawari train. Because it actually does, every time I see Himawari train or do something that's similar to what a shinobi would do, I just get get a bubbly feeling inside, similar to how Naruto get a bubbly feeling when he unlocked the nine tail, get some of the nine tail chakra, like similar to that feeling where it's just so awesome seeing Himawari being more in action. And it's just so incredible seeing how Himawari actually gonna be able to take the ring someday, how he will progress as a character one day. And, it's just so crazy to be seeing how Boruto, he still shook up about his huge overkarma. And, that will lead up to when after Kawaki just gone from the house, he just on the Hokage mountain, just staying there, just doesn't even want to eat dinner with the family. Naruto makes actually, makes it to the point where like, hey, okay, all y'all wait here. I'm gonna take our son back, and it's just so awesome to see how Naruto, he's so dedicated to his role as the Hokage that like he knows that something's wrong with Kawaki, and actually forces him back to the house. It's like, let's go, my stupid son. And it was just so great seeing how much of a bond that Kawaki has to Naruto. Like, it's so awesome seeing how there's such a great balance together that it makes it especially hard to watch given the time skip. It makes it so brutal to watch, knowing what happened to in the time skip. So it's so bittersweet but good at the same time. Like, I love it. And it's just one of those things where someone like Kawaki, since this is a modified scene from the manga where Kawaki headband. Kawaki already had a headband in the anime, so they can't just like give him a gift, like present and tell him he's now a shinobi because he already is shinobi. So in this version, they just give Kawaki, Boruto just give Kawaki his headband while he's just gonna use soft gaze. And it was just so great seeing how everybody's laughing, having a good time, and they're still having a good time despite the illuminant threat that the looming threat that grows with this code and the two other cyborgs that's coming, and it's just so painfully bitter. Again, painfully bittersweet seeing how Himawari is asking Kawaki to protect Boruto and things go overboard. But we all know what happened in the time skip, so that promise, it just ain't gonna stick. It ain't gonna fly, and it's just so hard to watch. Given it more so that like the bond that Kawaki has grown with Himawari, it's so much more lengthier, so much more a thousand miles better. It's like so much. It doesn't even compare to their bond in the manga. Like, they have such a brotherly, sisterly bond that it doesn't even compare to the manga. And it just seeing as the code arc continues, you could start to see where the chess pieces align and where Kawaki's downfall and Konoha's downfall really might be starting to align with the time skip. And it's just going to be such a bittersweet feeling when we finally do get to that point because, again, Kawaki and the others, they're all cool ass people. Like, even the villain, I actually do like. Code is probably my least favorite villain, but he's still pretty cool. I mean, if I'm being honest, I like Bug more than Code, but that's not a hero there. But regardless, I think this was a hilariously funny and, again, bittersweet episode because it was just so great but sad at the same time. Like, it's so conflicting. But I would love to know your thoughts on the episode as a whole. I would love to know your thoughts on Daemon and Bug because, again, I love those two characters the most out of the new people that we have seen. But I would love to know who you thought was the highlight of the episode or what scene was the highlight of the episode. But with that said, I'll see you guys on next.